Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Hello my friends, how are you doing today? I hope you had a magical Thanksgiving and that you are still sleeping off the turkey coma, or if you don't live in the United States, I hope you're just having a wonderful day wherever you are. And today I have, as you can see, some dragon romance recommendations, aka fantasy romance, aka shifter romance. Just basically it has those big lizards with wings is what we're talking about today. So this video is inspired in two ways. One, quite a while ago now, someone requested dragon romance in my video recommendation form, and at the time it was put in there, I did not have enough recommendations to make a video. As happens, I like to have a certain amount before I film a recommendations video so that it's worth your time and that it doesn't just have the same books as everyone else. And at the time, I only had 2 or 3, and one of them being Fourth Wing, which, yes, Fourth Wing is still going to make a visit on this list because how could it not? But what also inspired this, again, besides that request, is a new release that just came out by Zoe Draven, which I will go into talking about that one first here in just a second. And after I finished reading that, which is honestly a new favorite of the year for me, I was like, you know what? I want to give people some dragon recommendations. So that's what we're going to do. So get yourself a coffee, open up your Amazon wish list, and get ready to get some of these books, okay? So yes, first up, we're going to talk about The Horde Kings of Shadow, which I plan to talk about a lot in the next couple of weeks. So this was a very anticipated read. It's been a hot minute since Zoe Draven put out a book. She currently has the Brides of Calor series going as well, which is like a Fated Mate series. And it's very good. I enjoy it a whole lot. And so when I saw that she was going to start this series, I was like, okay, cool. But I was a little sad because I wanted more Brides of Calor, which we are still getting more Brides of Calor. I believe the next book she's doing will be another Brides of Calor, and she'll be switching between these two. But this world, which is the Horde Kings of Elthica, is I think how we'll say it, which basically means the Horde Kings of Dragons, because as you learn in this book, Elthica means dragon in their language. So it basically means the Horde Kings of Dragons, which is amazing. And this world takes place 200 years after the world of the first Horde King series she has, the Horde Kings of Drakkar, I think is what that series is. So you do not have to have read that series. I know people are going to ask. I've already had a lot of people ask. I have read the Horde Kings of Drakkar and I like them, but I remember very little. It's been over 2 years since I've read any of those books. I did reread book 4 in the series a while ago, so it hasn't been forever, but it's been a while since I've read them. Enough so that like I don't remember all the details of names and everything. I'm bad with those anyway. So you can start fresh with this, absolutely. There are references to a few names of Horde Kings and I believe one of the queens. And there's also a reference to heartstones, which are important in here. But again, anything you need to know is in here. There's also a glossary at the beginning with terms and names and everything. So you don't need to do the homework of reading the other 6 books first if you don't want to. If you do want to, good on you. You absolutely can. But don't sleep on this book. Let's get Zoe Draven to the top with this one, because this is as good as any of the Romantasy that has been coming out lately. It's as good as any, fantasy romance with dragons that's come out recently. It was so good, not only because it was action-packed, it had emotions, it had a wonderful romance, it has an amazing world, and I'm already I'm so excited for where it's going next, because there is still this there's a main thread going through of how we're going to kind of save the dragons. They're a little bit in danger in here because the source of their power is actually the Heartstones, which I won't go into every detail about what those are because I probably wouldn't do it right or whatever. But basically they are these magic stones that fuel certain magics in the land, particularly that of the Ilthka. And in the beginning of this story, we have King Sarkin, who is a dragon rider, and all of his people are dragon riders. And he gets word that there is this woman, actually a princess, in a kingdom that she's been having visions of the Heartstones. He gets told this by I can't remember if it's like a soothsayer or how he knows how, but he finds out about it. And so him and his group of his horde go to this kingdom, and they kind of force a one-sided deal here onto the king. So the king can either give over his daughter Clara in marriage to him, and Clara is the one who is seeing the visions of the Heartstones, or he can burn their city to the ground using dragon fire. So a trade that is not really a trade. We will not kill you if you give us your princess. So this princess, she's actually not the most powerful girl around. She hides basically in the library studying, and she's kept out of the public eye for reasons you'll see within this. And she also has kept her visions and her power like a secret. So she's a bit shocked and nervous about the fact that this Horde King who rides a fearsome dragon would know her secret. So she doesn't have a choice. She gets into this marriage, and instantly, wow, that was bad. Instantly, she gets taken away on this dragon and is being brought to his home. And she very quickly learns that as now the queen of, I can't pronounce their land, but as this queen, she will need her own dragon. And so she basically has to enter in training about how you will become bonded with a dragon, how you find your own dragon, and how to ride them and, you know, control them and all of these things. And so we get to know Sarkin's dragon. Her name is, oh shoot, how do I say her name? Zeradin, I think is her name. Who's very powerful and very wonderful. I loved her. And yeah, so this is a forced marriage, so things don't start off very good. And he definitely, this hero is definitely very classic for Zoe Draven, as in he's very grumpy to start. He's almost cruel in a lot of ways, but you can see to the heart of him that a big reason he's like this is because not only is he a Horde King, which means you need to be brutal and fierce and the most powerful because people can challenge you for your rule. And usually in the beginning of your reign, you are constantly having to beat off competitors. So if you stay the king of a horde, it's because you're the most powerful and the most brutal, and you can't show any weakness or you'll be challenged for your power. And to be the queen to a king like that is definitely outside the realm of comfort for our heroine. You know, she's in a bit of a pickle there. But I loved how this went. I loved as they got to know each other. I loved how their romance built. It was so beautiful. And by the time I got to the end of this book, I say it in my Goodreads review, which I wrote a very long and glowing review. I originally had this rated at a 5-star, and there's a couple reasons why I hadn't bumped it up yet. One of them being it's almost the end of the year. I already have my 6-star books picked out, but you gotta leave room for more. You gotta leave room for more. And when I was finished with this one, there's just no way I couldn't give it 6 stars because I don't have any reasons to hate on it. And another reason is, because we're going to talk about the next book on this list, is that if I gave this certain other book 6 stars, which I did, I had to give the Horde Kings 6 stars because it was much better in my opinion. So definitely check this out. It is out now. I'll have a link to it down below. Go and give this one a read and just fall in love with all the characters here. It's amazing. So yes, the next book up, we're just going to get it out of the way because you know we got to talk about it, is of course Fourth Wing. I don't know that I even need to like say what this is, but this is the one, like when I first read this, I did give it 6 stars because I personally Had an amazing reading experience with this book. I listened to it all in one day. I had so much fun. I love talking with other people about it. And even though not all of my friends loved it as much as I did, the collective of experience of reading a book that everyone else is reading at the same time is something that is still a novelty sometimes, okay? It's something that I love about the online community. For all the faults there are, there's a lot of positives too. So yeah, this is about Violet Sorrengail, and she's also more of a bookish girl, and she gets pushed in to the Dragon Rider Academy, and she meets Xaden. Oh, what's his last name? It's been a long time here. What's his last name? Why did they not say his last name right in here? That is stupid. Xaden Rorson. It's been a while. I need to reread these because the third book is coming soon. And she needs to become a dragon rider, and she is also trying to unravel a lot of secrets that are happening, and she gets drawn into a bit of a rebellion that she doesn't want to be a part of, and she has a strange connection to this guy named Xaden, who is a wing leader and who is trouble. He is the son of a traitor. He's actually marked as such. And she doesn't understand why she's so drawn to him. And I love her dragon, and I love the training sequences. I love a magic school where we're learning things. And there are a lot of faults. There are a lot of weaknesses to a series. But here's the thing. When a series blows up the way that this one did and gets as much attention as it does, there is no way you're going to have universal love for it. So all you can do is read it and judge for yourself. Okay, I'm sure you've heard a million opinions about this book already. I recommend you get yourself the audiobook. I recommend you just dive in and have your mind and your heart open to see what you can see and just have a great time with it. Because again, when a series is this popular, when you see it everywhere, when everyone's reading it, it's very hard to hear an objective thought on it. It's just, you're not going to, okay? You're not going to. So you just have to read it and make up your own mind. But I do like it. I will say, in my personal opinion, it does lean more towards a new adult or even like YA, but with a few smut scenes in it. In the way, the example I use is like, think of Mist and Fury, right? How everyone calls that like fairy porn, okay? Because there's 1.5 sex scenes in it, okay? That's this for the level of the smut in it, okay? It has like 1.5 scenes in it. So anyone who's saying that it's just erotic dragon story, okay, I'm sorry, I don't push this out too much, but they're a prude, okay? They are a prude if they're saying that it's dragon porn. It's fine to not want to read stuff. You're not a prude because you don't want to read it. That is your choice. But I think you are if you shame other people because there's too much smut in it, right? Do you see the difference there? I'm not calling someone something because they don't want to read a thing. But if you think you look down on other people because there is an open door sex scene in a story, and that disqualifies it from being of any quality, I don't think that is correct. And that's not why some people don't like it. So don't get me wrong about that either. There are plenty of other reasons, but I liked it. Is it still a 6-star book for me? No. But I really enjoy the series, and I don't expect more than a good old time from it, and I get it. Okay? Enough of that. Let's get into some that maybe you don't know about. Okay? Those are a new release and also one of the most popular ones out there. Let's get into some of these. So I do have some notes because some of these I actually read them quite a while ago, right? So I pulled some of these up. So one of these that is a dragon shifter, and one that I absolutely adore, is called Hoarded by the Dragon by Lillian Lark. And this is a monstrous match book. It's a part of her series there, though you can read this one as a standalone because it barely connects to the other ones. And this one, we have a thief who gets caught in a precarious situation when she's trying to steal something from a dragon's hoard. And she happens to catch him on a very bad night because it also happens to be that he's going into his heat. And so he is very wound up and amped up, and this woman has stolen into his hoard to steal something. And she begs him not to call the police on her. And instead, she realizes that he's in the middle of a heat, and she makes a calculated risk. She actually offers her services to him to help him get through his heat. And in exchange, he won't turn her in and have her arrested by the magical authorities. And so she agrees. And the thing is, they don't use any magical protection because Kalos is the name of him. He is a dragon who actually has lost his mate. He had a dragon mate. And dragons are supposed to mate for life. They only have one mate. So he's still going through his heats, but he's no longer fertile anymore, right? And also, dragons to begin with are only fertile with their fated mate. So even if, he was still able to do that, supposedly, since he lost his mate, she was the only one he was ever going to be able to have young with. Well, that appears to be wrong, because Katerina, she leaves and the next day discovers that she's pregnant. So we do have a bit of a little magical renesmee going on here, because she is instantly pregnant. We're able to tell the next day. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable because she's not supposed to be his mate. Why is she pregnant so fast? And then something else happens, which is crazy, because she does wait a little bit to tell him, because number one, it's the next day. You're not normally supposed to be able to tell you're pregnant so fast. And number two, she doesn't know what to do about it. But then she starts being very sick. And this pregnancy is actually making her very sick. And so she ends up going to see him and tell him what's going on. And it turns out that she needs to be around him so that he can, there's something about him that helps with her pregnancy while she's pregnant with the dragonling, the little baby. So she basically then now moves in with him and is living with him, and they're dealing with being roommates and co-parents. And it's such a great story. And this story deals with a lot of grief and loss. Our dragon Kalos not only lost a mate, but he lost a child before. And he had his heart completely closed off because he just thought he wouldn't exist. But not only does our heroine not want to get rid of this child, because that is an offering to her. She doesn't know what kind of baby this is going to be to begin with, but she is actually encouraged by a witch that I think it's her friend, or she goes to see, is that there are so few dragons left in the world that this is actually a miracle on multiple levels that she be carrying a dragon. And they're like, of course, this is still your choice, but there's a lot going into this besides just, do you want to have an unplanned pregnancy or not? It's a miracle that there's a baby dragon in there, right? So I love this story so much, and it's been a long time since Lillian Lark put out a book. There's supposed to be another one coming in this series soon. This one is supposed to be Married to the Devil. So a marriage of convenience monster romance, and I'm very excited for that. But anyway, Hoarded by the Dragon is wonderful. I love it so much. Okay, then we have another kind of throwback one here. We have The Dragon's Bride by Katie Robert. And I really enjoyed this one at the time when I read it. I was actually still a part of her Patreon when this one came out. And this one was crazy because it is a dragon who's also a demon, and he makes deals with people. So we have Briar Rose, and she has to make a deal with a dragon and or a deal with a demon to get herself free from her abusive husband. And so the price of that is that there's 7 years of service that she owes this demon who made the deal with her. So they, after she gets freed from this, she then has to make herself available to him for the 7 years. And so it's kind of also a marriage of convenience that she owes him. And the dragon wants a baby out of this situation. So another one with a baby. And at the end of the 7 years, any children that they have, they stay with him, and she'd be free to go if she wants to. So that's kind of the setup of this one. And yeah, like I said, this is a bit of a throwback one. It's a really short story. Her Deal with the Demon series, they weren't my favorite ones, but this is a dragon. It's another double-dicked dragon, the same as Kalos in Hoarded by the Dragon. He also has 2 dicks. So does Soul in this series as well. Okay, then there is Waking the Dragon by Juliet Cross. Now, this is book 1 in her Veil of Stars series. This is a series from almost 10 years ago now, and it really doesn't get enough love, that's for sure. So this series is actually a spin-off from a trilogy that came before it. Now, that trilogy, it's not the strongest, I will say that, but I do have a bit of a heart for it because Soulfire, which is the first one in that series, the main character, her name is Jessin, and was actually named after Jessin from Jessin Reads Romance, who is Juliet's niece. So I do have a soft spot for that one still. But the Veil of Stars starts a new series, and these dragons are called the Morgans, and they're the Morgans, however you want to say it in a fantasy way. And they're these dragon hybrid creatures. And they are out among the people, but the people are very suspicious of them. They see them, you know, as kind of an infestation in a lot of ways. And when some human women are turning up murdered, and it's clear that there's DNA of Morgan men on the victims, there's some civil unrest happening, and they're going to want to retaliate against the Morgans. So we have Mariah, who gets paired with Cole Moonring, who's a captain of the Morgan Guards, and she's paired with him for protection, and they're trying to solve who this murderer is. So really great. These ones are not so much, I don't think they're really so much shifters, because I think, if I remember right, I think their wings are kind of like always out. But anyway, he's a sexy alpha. All of Juliet's characters are. This is just great. And this series was really fun to read. They're pretty quick reads. There are audiobooks for all of these ones with her previous publishers who she did these ones with, which is great. Love it. Juliet will show up again at the end of this video, so just hold on here. Okay, then there is A Ruin of Roses. Now, I read this book quite a while ago. It was one of the first Patreon reads that I did way back when. It was literally, I think, okay, well, maybe it wasn't so far back. I'm surprised. I was looking it up here. But anyway, and this one is a bit of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but the Beast is a dragon shifter. Think of it that way. Now, again, this wasn't an absolute favorite of mine, but so many people love this series. I think it's a trilogy. Let me see. Deliciously Dark Fairy Tales. Oh, wow. There's like 6 books in it, although I think we do hit some other characters. It looks like there's 4 maybe in the main, and then there's some spin-off ones. So there we go. We'll share it anyway, because it might not be for me, but it might be for you. Okay, another one that I read a really long time ago, but has gotten new life, which I love to see. There is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved by a Demon, and this demon is a dragon shifter, I believe is how this one works. Yeah, and this one is beautiful. This is kind of a like interracial situation. There is the demon's name is Fallon, and our heroine, sorry, let me see where this is. But yeah, these Kimberly Lemming books are they've all been like re-released now, which is awesome. And these are really funny. They're a bit camp. That's right, Cinnamon is the name of the heroine. I knew it was a silly one, but I didn't just want to say that. But yeah, Cinnamon is the name of the heroine, and then Fallon is our like demon shifter self. So this one is full of camp, and I know so many people just adore the series, so definitely give it a go. Okay, and then there is Sanctuary with Kings by Catherine Moon. Now, this one is actually the 3rd one in her oh, what's the series called? Is it like Entranced by the Monsters or Enchanting the Monsters? I can't remember, but the first one is like Tempting Monsters. That's what it is. Enchanting Monsters, what was in my head? A Lady of Rooksgrave Manor is the first one. A Company of Fiends is the second one. And Sanctuary with Kings is the third one. And this one has Avanthia, and she has been trapped in the Seven Veils, which is one of these like kind of like magical brothels. And her like owner was a very evil person, creature, man. And so she's rescued by a mysterious monster who vows to give her sanctuary. And so his name is and he brings her to this sanctuary to keep her safe. And at the sanctuary, there is actually a dragon who is in deep sleep, as well as his lover. And I think the lover is a chimera, is who it is. There's a lot of creatures. Maybe I actually have them written down. I think I wrote the names of all of them. So these are actually reverse harem series, or why choose? Because I do know that the dragon and his lover have been together for a long time. Okay, that's right. There's a dragon, a griffin. The lover is a griffin. And then a minotaur is the one who like saves her and brings her to this place. And then there's also a werewolf. So that's right. There's 4 in this one. And I loved them so much. And so, yeah, the dragon is actually in a deep sleep to begin with. He's almost done with his like hibernation. And it's also like so poignant because he has to go into hibernation every so long. And his lover just kind of like keeps a sentinel and has had to live all these years while his partner is in hibernation, like all alone. And so when Avanthia goes there to find sanctuary, she slowly starts to fall in love with them. And then our minotaur and our werewolf show up again, and eventually we end up all in this why choose. And there is sharing that happens. Like I said, there's also a pre-established relationship, and so there's lots of good pairings and mixings. And what's really fun in this one too is at one point in the story, our previous 2 heroines and their harems all show up at this mansion. And so there is kind of this like scene in here where every like harem is having their own like orgy in the same place. So this one does get very spicy, but it also was to me a very satisfying end to the trilogy as well, because there's a main villain that we're fighting the whole time and we get to have some vengeance in that regards. Okay, so those are all the ones that I have read and that I'm very excited those are all the ones that I have read and I'm recommending to you. Now I have 2 recommendations that I haven't read. So they're ones that I can't wait to read, and I want to know your thoughts on some of them, particularly the one I know you've read. The other one isn't out yet. So I have a copy of When the Moon Hatched. I have the audiobook ready to go for this. I do have the indie version of it that Jenn got me for my birthday, and I'm happy I do because it's a little more compact and kept together than the trad pub version was. But I've heard really great things about this one, and it is on my 10 before the end list, so I hope I'm able to get to it by then, but we'll see. But yeah, I know that this one involves like a dragon in the moon or something. I know there's like fated mates and maybe reincarnation, but it says it's a fantasy romance with witty banter and strong, sassy protagonists. Beneath the cover is an immersive, vibrant world with mysterious creatures, a unique magic system, and a love that blazes through the ages. I know there's some mixed feelings on it, but this was one of Crystal's favorite books this year, and I know Jenn really loved it too, so I'm pretty hopeful for it. And then the final book I want to mention is one, again, that I don't think any of you will have read yet, but it is Firebird by Juliet Cross, which will be coming soon. It comes next year, but I'm so happy I'm going to be getting an ARC copy of this, a physical ARC copy. Juliet's sending it to me as a gift. I already have an ebook copy, which I can't wait to read. You guys, the way that I'm holding off reading this, I can't even tell you. But this one is sold as The House of the Dragon meets from Blood and Ash. And I know this is going to be very bloody, very sexy, very intense. Juliet said she went all out with this story, and it's a story she's been wanting to tell for a very long time. So definitely you'll want to pre-order this one. There is a gorgeous first print run, which if you've seen it, it has stenciled edges, and like the cover of this is so beautiful. So yes, hopefully in the future someday, if you're watching this video many moons from now, you'll be able to go and get this one. But I can't wait to read it. It's one of my most anticipated books of 2025. So there you go. I hope that I was able to deliver some new to you dragon romances. As I said, there are so many out there, and I know that some other creators have many more recommendations than I do. I just can only share with you what I myself have read and ones I hope to read. So let me know what some of your recommendations are. I'd love to hear them. Again, I'll have links down below for all of these, and I hope you are having a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.